morning and welcome to the Morning Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Cam, coming to you as always from the Spotlight Studios here in Morristown, New Jersey. My guest today is more than an athlete, which is a phrase many people claim, but only a few actually attain. He's on course to achieve championship level business as an entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist, the same way he became a Super Bowl champ with purpose, passion, and persistence. He is Tim Wright. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome, Mike. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, I'm really excited to have you on. So good friend of the show, Trevor Anderson, introduced us. Really pumped. Also really pumped that you're a Jersey guy. So,
Yes.
you know, I love that. Rutgers grad, right? The whole thing. So tell me, let's just talk about like what you have going on. So you have something that you do want to come on and talk about. Then we'll kind of get more into the story and then we'll talk more about the product and stuff after that. So what are you here to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm here to talk about Dome Audio, which is a disruptive headphone technology that's coming to the world very soon. And essentially, it's the world's first surround sound bone conduction headphone. So it allows you to listen to your music, listen to your podcast, take your phone calls, Clubhouse, while hearing the world around you. And then when you want to block out the outside world and go to a privacy mode, we have this component called dome covers, which you attach to the headphone and it blocks out the outside world. But the cool part is on the face of the dome cover is a blank canvas. So we can collaborate with brands and celebrities from all around the world, giving them an opportunity to put their brand on millions of heads while creating this brand awareness, and then obviously participate in a royalty share or rev share type of business model and structure because they're interchangeable covers. And for, of course, the consumers, they can now wear the brands that they love right on their dome. And so we're bringing this technology to the world, and it also has a real nice soft spot within it because this technology in bone conduction is what the hard of hearing uses to allow them to listen to music and indulge in the same type of audio fidelity that folks from around the world who doesn't necessarily have a condition in that manner of listening to music, it allows them to participate as well. So we're bringing this disruptive technology to the world, and we're connecting all people.
Awesome. I love that. So I could put this side. I could put this logo on there if I wanted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The Morning Spotlight custom headphones. I feel like we need a pair.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. So we're going to get back to the dome stuff because I do think that's really important. Obviously, that's why you're here.
Right.
But I do want to get to know you a little bit more because I don't know you all that well. I think we've had a couple phone call, a couple text exchanges.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. So born and raised in New Jersey or originally from
Neptune, New Jersey.
Neptune, New Jersey. Nice. And then a Rutgers guy, right? Played for Shiano at Rutgers. What was that experience like?
It was, man, I credit a lot to that guy. He literally takes boys in and raises them to men. And he teaches a lot of principles. He teaches a lot of different value points that I'm using in everyday life today. And he's an awesome coach. He knows where to position players to perform at their maximum output. And he gave me a chance, going from the chapter of college into the NFL. And that took off my career from there. So I owe a lot to him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, as a Jersey guy myself and knowing about Rutgers football, I mean, that was the last time Rutgers football was relevant, to be honest. I mean, they've kind of stunk for the last few years.
Yeah, they have. For sure.
Yeah.
So he's bringing the regime. He brought the regime back. They had a pretty great showing last year to show what they can do within the Big Ten with him being back. So I'm super excited for the future of Rutgers.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were a wide receiver there, correct?
Yeah, I play wide receiver there.
Right. So at what point, so I've had a few former NFL players on the show before, I think 3 others prior to you. And one of the things that I'm always interested in is like, at what point did you realize that you had like this gift that you could be like perform at basically like the highest level of your profession, which is, getting to the NFL. I know you played tight end in the NFL. But at what point in your life were just like, football?
Yeah. You know what? I think it's the passion inside, and you always have to self-evaluate yourself. You got to look in the mirror. You got to say, is this for me? Do I love it? Do I have a passion for it? And usually when you do, when you check off those things off the list, you realize that this is for me. This is what I want to do. And I just had so much joy every time I put the cleats on and strapped my helmet up. I went out there and I gave it my all, and I love the results. So that success, that the work that you put in every day and you see the results that comes out of it, that's what kept me driving towards that goal, that passion to play the sport football.
Right.
So Yeah, it was just a love that I had. And then the other thing, when you're playing at a young age and you realize you have success amongst that program, then when you get to high school and you realize you having success amongst your state, you get to college amongst that conference, or that tier of being in college, and then you get to the pros and it's like, man, I can compete and I can ball out against the best in the world. I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Did you play any other sports? Was there
Yeah.
like a yeah?
Yeah, I played basketball. And then, of course, growing up, my era, thank God, we still played outside. We still had bikes and different balls of all sports. So we
Yeah.
still indulged in other sports. So I was able to play different things out there as well.
Yeah, right. Because I feel like that is one of the things, and this is just a total sidebar, not relevant to our conversation, but you're gonna have to forgive me because this is how we operate here. That's like one of the things with youth sports is like people want their kid to be
Yeah.
so good. Like I was a college baseball coach for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
People want their so people want their son or daughter to be like the best at baseball, at basketball, at football. So they only do baseball or that particular sport year round. But I remember just from coaching and recruiting kids, we wanted kids that played multiple sports and were outside playing because it just makes you inherently more athletic than, just throwing a baseball or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's a lot of crossover value in playing different sports for sure. And exposure, like there's a lot of different cases we hear where kids are playing something they don't love because it's really rooted from the parents that want them that play that particular sport. So when you give them that exposure, that range, and they can make that choice on their own, that's where you get those real good success stories.
Yeah. So going through your career, obviously, you're performing at a very high level. You go to Rutgers, you play there. You go undrafted out of college. Was that like a gut punch moment for you? Did you expect to get drafted? Was that a hard thing to swallow?
Yeah, the odds were definitely stacked against me. And I look at my career as if I came in through the back door and I went out the front. And I was very pleased, and I was, just tremendously blessed to the opportunity to be from where I'm from and be a representative of my community, to make it all the way and bring back one of these big boys right here with the Patriots. And it was that was kind of like the story of my journey. That's been the story of my journey. I never had anything handed to me. I had to work. I had to persevere. I had to have just that persistence to be able to get to where I got. So that is my story.
Yeah. So for anybody listening that's not on video, Tim just held up his Super Bowl ring that he won in 2015 with the Patriots.
2015, yes, sir.
Yeah, that thing is a giant.
Really is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to pick up my arm with that thing hanging off my hand.
Right. I wear it on my left hand, so it's definitely bigger than my right one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So, but then you do get obviously, I mean, you just held up a Super Bowl ring. You do get the opportunity to play in the NFL. Obviously, Schiano goes from Rutgers to Tampa Bay. Was that obviously? I feel like that was part of the reason why that happened. So that's like right place, right time kind of thing, right?
That is definitely. But I came in as a wide receiver, still 220 pounds, and 3 weeks in, Coach Schiano looked at the roster and he said, your best shot to make this team is for us to make a switch where you will be playing tight end. And I said, you know what, Coach, I'm going to embrace it with open arms, because I seen the evolution of the position, and it was something that you could still be a receiver, but in a bigger frame body. And I knew I had that frame, and that's what he saw. And again, hats off to him seeing that, because that gave me those advantages against, inferior competitors, that I was able to body them, run past them, depending on who they were. Because I'm facing defensive ends, I'm facing linebackers, I'm facing safeties. So I was able to kind of maneuver and have that advantage with each opponent that I faced.
Yeah. And I feel like it also just speaks to getting to know you for the first 15 minutes of our conversation here. I feel like it also understanding you and understanding like what that's like to be an undrafted guy coming out of college, coming out of Rutgers with the Buccaneers, and then start all 16 games play in all 16 games as a rookie at a new position, and have I have like your Wikipedia page is right over here. Yeah, I'm looking at your stats. That's a solid production season. 5 touchdowns, 571 yards, 54 catches. I mean, if I was hurting for a wide receiver on my fantasy team, I'd pick up Tim Wright.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I balled out, and it started even before the lights cut on. Like, I got switched to tight end, and now I had to learn a position I never played. Right, I had to compete against 6 other guys. I was 7th on the depth chart being switched in. These guys were 28 years old, 32 years old, 4 kids, you know what I mean? Like 7 years under their belt as a tight NFL tight end. And so I was like stacked against the odds, man. And I ended up plowing it down. And by end of training camp, I cracked it 3 deep. And by 4th game of the year, I ended up winning the starting position, ended up breaking the franchise record in touchdowns and tying the NFL record for most catches by a rookie tight end.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, man, it was a tremendous season, but that set me up for that next year with the Patriots coming to get me.
Right. Yeah. So they trade for you. You go to New England. Was that like hard to, I mean, obviously you're going to the New England Patriots who, you know, I think we're around, I'm 30, you 30? Yeah.
I'm
So
30.
so we're basically the same age. And so obviously over the like my lifetime, they've been the team, you know, I mean, there's really no way around it. So obviously like that's gotta be really cool to, you know, be going into that type of situation, but also was it tough to get out of, because you did have this comfort level with, you know, Coach Giano and everything with the Buccaneers, and you had established yourself already with that team. And now you go to New England and they've had a pretty good tight end for several years also, you know? So like, I mean, was that kind of like, oh boy, this is going to be like a totally new challenge for me?
Yeah, it was tremendous. So I got tapped on my shoulder 2 days before the end of training camp going into my second year. And right on the field, they tell me I'm getting traded and I'm going to New England. And literally all my friends and teammates were like, no way. Like they didn't know what he told me, but I got in the locker room. All of a sudden my phone is blowing up, text messages, phone calls. I'm on ESPN, I'm on the radio, like meaning like just hearing them talk about who is Tim Wright. Like I made a name for myself, but I was being traded for a Hall of Fame left tackle, left guard. And so I got up there, I walk in the building and I could just feel and sense the success of that organization. And I walk in, Bill Belichick says, hey, welcome to the Patriots, but you're going to have to learn 60 plays tonight and you're going to have to be ready to start in this last game tomorrow because we want to see what you could do. So it started right there, like going into the organization that successful and then getting basically handed the task right in a heartbeat that I have to learn this playbook overnight. That's how the operation works. That's how the NFL is. It's a production-based business. So I learned them and I balled out in that first game. And then it just set the trajectory. Walked in, Tom Brady was like, Timmy Wright, glad to have you here. I look up, my locker is next to him. So it was like, I was just playing you in my video game in Madden in 2005 as a 15-year-old. And now I'm next to you in the locker room and we about to ball out together. So some of those stories, man, is just unforgettable.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. And I think, you know, like, because just to give you a background on the show, mid-show, which we never did. So every Tuesday, we do like a real estate business-focused episode. Every Thursday, we do stuff a little bit different, right? So you're a little bit different, like cool people that we can get on the show that can provide some value in a different way. But I do think that that's really interesting because you go through this Super Bowl winning season with the Patriots. And for anybody that's an entrepreneur or a business person or whatever, obviously, no matter what you're doing, podcast host, you want to be the best possible that you can be. And that's what I feel like the vibe is around the Patriots. Like they're just like, we're the best. And I feel like it speaks for themselves. You know what I mean? So what is like, I mean, this might be a hard question to answer, but maybe even just describing like the culture around like that program between, like, I know you were obviously with the Buccaneers and then you spent some time with the Lions and the Chiefs, right? Describe like how different that culture was maybe from other cultures.
Yeah, it was a established dynasty. At that time, they already won 3 Super Bowls and they've been to 2 more, lost to the Giants. But it was an established identity and culture. And what I understood there was that success is not owned, it's rented, and rent is due every day. And so it was a revolving door atmosphere, meaning there was guys that was sitting on the left and right of me every week that would be getting brought in and cut. And so you seeing that, you realize that you had to bring your piece to the puzzle every single day, or else the collective organization and the team success wouldn't work. So me knowing that, the preparation, that's what led to confidence. And then that confidence is what led to success. And that's what Bill Belichick preaches from in a preparation standpoint, and everybody collectively sharing that principle and that mindset. So, it was a hell of a ride, and it was so fun to be a part of because it challenged you every single day. There was not one drop or not one point where you could be comfortable within that organization. And that's
Right.
where we'll go into certain games, and obviously we'll know we'll be playing an inferior opponent, and we'll know like, okay, how much points we're going to put up on them. You know what I mean? How much we're going to beat them by. And
Yeah.
that was the mentality that we had. It was that true grit. So it was
Right.
something I could carry into life forever, and especially without doing business.
Yeah. And does that, because I know like, so you go through the Super Bowl season, what's it like to be on the field for a Super Bowl for like a second year guy undrafted out of college? I mean, I just feel like that's got to be like, you're like, oh my God, like I made it. Like
Right.
I'm at the pinnacle, of this profession. Like, what's that
Yeah.
experience like?
No, it was half of me definitely felt that way, but the other half was the training and the mentality that Bill Belichick he pretty much implanted in all the people that represented that team. And it was just, look, play the game that you know. We prepared like it was every other week, as hard as we could prepare, and don't let the stage dictate, like how you actually go out and perform or what you want to do. Just play your your plays and go play your game. So that was part of it. But the moments like pregame where you're warming up and you're seeing celebrities surrounding the field, and it's like planes flying over the top and just hot air balloons and all of this like just circus atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
And then you got moments in a game where, of course, national anthem, and then like all of that stuff, and then you have the halftime show, so you can hear it banging. Like Katy Perry tore it down that year, and then the end of the game happens, and it's like an eruption. And the way we won, it was pretty much, I would say, one of the most spectacular and memorable memories of the Super Bowl of all time. So that was
That was
like,
the interception at the goal line, right? The
yeah,
interception at the goal line.
Malcolm Butler, yep.
Yeah, should have ran the ball. Unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God they didn't, for sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got Marshawn Lynch. Like, what are you doing?
What
You know
are
what
you
I mean?
doing? Yeah, but I always give Pete Carroll and just the whole people that made that decision. I give them credit for what they were thinking. Like,
Yeah.
we had 9 defensive linemen on the field, 2 DB.
Right.
Like, they're expecting Marshawn to get the ball.
Yeah.
Just take a quick pick and dump it.
Yeah.
But that's the brilliance of Belichick, because that play happened just as I would imagine they envisioned that play to happen in the Super Bowl. We did it in practice, and it was a walk-in. Like, literally got the snap and dumped it right to the receiver, walk-in. Belichick stopped the practice and had everybody listen. He said, if you see this lineup and you see this formation again, I just want you to jump it and nail it just like you did. And that's what he did. When he saw it, Brandon Browner had jammed the first guy, and Malcolm Butler just hit it, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And now I got this.
Cool. I love it. I love that. Do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I
Yep.
love it. I mean, that's awesome. I remember the first time that I talked to Trevor when he was like, oh, I met this guy, Tim Wright. And he's like, where is the Super Bowl ring? And I was like,
Right.
oh, interesting. And then then I see it and I'm like, wow, that's really, it's badass.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So then, so at the end of the season or before the following season, you get released, you get picked up by the Buccaneers again, then traded to the Lions.
Yeah.
Right. And then
right at the end of training camp, same type of style. It was,
again,
like same regime, same front office, same staff. And it was like, again.
Right.
But that's that's what happens in the NFL. But I mean, my story is kind of unique because I get traded from the same place twice, like back-to-back years. You really don't see that often. So
right. And so you go to Detroit, you play, I think like 9 games, right?
Yeah.
And when you tear your ACL, right?
So I played 9 games. I got traded into a scenario where it was already 2 tight ends. Usually they only play 2 consistently.
Yeah.
And so I was just one of those wingmen where I just had to be ready. And then going into my 4th year is when I just, again, took matters in my own hand. This is what happened to me in college. I was going into my sophomore year, I redshirted, so this would be my 3rd season. And when I tell you, like, I just prepared mentally, physically, emotionally to take that position for that following season. I did that going into training camp, 5th practice in, end up tearing my right ACL. Like, whole year completely wiped away.
Yeah.
So going into the 4th year of my career in the NFL, did the same thing, prepared like no other. And I was slated to be a captain, slated to just break out. And really what I was performing for was the opportunity to get my second contract, which could have been huge.
Yeah.
And so going right into it, first practice of OTAs, boom, just wipe out and tore my ACL. So,
Yeah.
that was kind of the story. And that's what really made me realize that NFL stood for not for long, and you have to have a plan. And fortunately, at the age of 13, I picked up a pair of hair clippers, and I did it out of love because I love art, but I also love the reciprocation that came from cutting hair, because I was pouring into people, people were pouring into me. And think about how often you see people, the same clients, because I gave one of the best haircuts that was out there. So
Obviously.
I was
Yeah.
I was always seeing the same people, but I saw so many people. So I had got this perspective of business, consumer behavior, the psychology. And I took that, created a brand at Rutgers called the Wright Cut. And then after my 4th year, right in the midst of tearing my ACL, I came back to campus at Rutgers, and I opened up the first barbershop hair salon on any major campus in the country, called the Wright Cut. So we're about to celebrate our 5th year. And you can definitely go follow that at TWCBS on Instagram, and you could definitely tap into what we're doing. But, that was just part of, I would say, setting the stage of my entrepreneurial journey and the mentality and mindset that I had for what I'm doing today.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome, because that was going to be like, as I was going into this next thing, because obviously, the tearing of the ACL was a significant thing in your career, which is, I mean, tough to come back from. People do, but it's not easy.
Yes.
And to have that backup plan, was that something like a conscious thing that even, I mean, obviously, you said you were cutting hair and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff, which, I'm sure you give a great haircut. I'm totally bald aside from my face, so
Right.
I will never know.
Right.
Yeah, but, was that just something that, like, throughout your career, maybe even going undrafted and then going into the NFL, it was just like you're just playing with house money, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
that the mentality, right? And that was it
Yeah.
always something that you were trying to, like, keep those businesses going to make sure that you had that safety net to fall back on?
Yeah, well, actually, it was my second passion. So my two passions were sports, and obviously football took that, but then business. When I was younger, I always attracted my peers because I had a huge imagination. Like, I'll be out there, we'll be on the curb, like drinking water and saying, like, what if this whole street was an amusement park or a water park in dead summer, right? And like, they would just be like, yeah, this the lazy river, and I would always initiate like that type of movement and emotion, and so that's what I realized, that I had that ability, and I always had a big mind. So imagination when you're younger, visionary when you're in business, and obviously older. So I'm a visionary, but I'm a businessman, and I just love greatness, and that's what I expect and bring to my team, and that's what everybody collectively comes together and make that happen that way.
Right. So, so the barbershop stuff, now we're getting into more of like the dome audio
Yeah.
stuff. So that's launching spring of this year, correct?
So yeah, so we have a equity crowdfunding platform on pickmecrowdfunding.com, and it's an opportunity where anybody from around the world can invest a piece of dome and own a piece of the future. So that's what we're launching coming up in about a week from now. And
Right.
it's going to be a very exciting opportunity for people to just pile in and take advantage.
Right.
Yes.
So a week from now at the time of this recording,
Mhm.
but let's look at a little calendar here. But
Yeah.
it's going to be already launched the day before this episode
Yeah, so
launches.
specifically, it should be May 19th. It should
Right.
be yes.
And today technically is May 20th
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we're recording in advance.
Right.
So it launched yesterday, everybody. Go check it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. So what, I mean, was the barbershop the only thing that you were doing between, because I know after the Chiefs, you
Mhm.
got released in 2018, right?
Right.
Was that the only thing that you were doing between then and this
Yeah.
dome launch?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I tore my ACL, I opened up the barbershop. So for those 2 years, I was still training. I was, still trying to make my way back into the NFL. Had a couple opportunities, of course, from the business side, things didn't work out. But my partner, Ben White, we already had an existing relationship from after I won a Super Bowl. And we had that development, and he switched gears from being in the music industry for 25 years as a musician, songwriter, producer, and he got into tech development. And so he introduced it to me right in 2018, and I was able to switch gears seamlessly right from leaving the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. Right. Do you still cut hair?
I do every week. I cut my own hair. You see that? That's a fresh fade right
That's
there.
nice.
So,
Yeah.
so I cut my own hair, cut my children, relatives, and every time I step into the right cut, if it's a pointer I can give, I definitely give it.
Yeah, I used to go fade, and then I just was like, dude, what are you doing? Like
Yeah,
this.
it's nothing up there.
Right. Well, like I almost still felt like it was like an optical illusion, right? So it
All right.
made whatever was left on top
Like it was
look a
full.
little, yeah, look a little fuller because I would just go like all the way to the skin on the sides.
Absolutely. Right.
Then I
Exactly.
started dating my girlfriend, and she was just like, why? Like you're holding on to just scraps, you know? And I was
Exactly.
like, all right, we're just going for it. So maybe, but the beard
Exactly.
always needs like a little shape up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Always
always.
need that. Always need that.
All good. And you got like company there too. This
Right.
is awesome. Yeah. All right. So talk to me more about Dome. So like explain how this actually works, because I know that you said it goes to the bone, but
Yes.
like what does that even mean?
What does that even mean? So
Yeah.
let me give you a quick little showcase of what this is. So
Okay.
my partner, he wanted to create a keepsake that was something iconic and representative of the brand. So this is actually a charging case for the headphone, right?
Cool.
So when you open up the headphone here, this is where you actually pop in the headphones, and this Dome logo will light up to tell you how charged it is. And whatever Dome covers you're wearing for the day, you can store it right on the side here. So this technology, this is our prototype 2.0. And what this is, again, is the world's first surround sound bone conduction headphone. So this crescent shaped design wraps around the ear, and it houses the 4 speakers, which are transducers, right? So the transducers sit on the front bone and the mastoid bone that goes behind the head, behind the ear. And so when you put it on, you're able to listen to your music, take your phone calls, and hear the world around you. But then we have this interchangeable component, which is the headphone real estate. And these are the Dome covers. So
Cool.
this is where we give the brands the ability to put their own logo on there. And like you said, the what would you call that? The avatar that you have in the back,
Morning
right?
Spotlight logo. Yeah. Right.
The logo, right.
Yeah.
So these are concept covers here of these brands, Supreme and Tesla, just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
But essentially, you would take this cover and you would just pop it on the frame of the headphone, and now you have what would be a conventional headphone, right? So essentially, the sound passes through the bone into the inner ear, which is the cochlea. Whereas conventional headphones, like the ones you're wearing, Beats, Bose, they go through the actual outer ear, which is the eardrum, past the middle ear, and then go into the inner ear, which is the cochlea. So it's a safer form of experiencing music and experiencing sound. And it also allows and enables you to stay aware of your surroundings. So if you're in high traffic areas and you have vehicles passing, there's a stat out there that a lot of people are being struck by vehicles or moving objects because they're disconnected from the world around them.
Yeah.
But one of the things that the pandemic has exposed and really have brought to the world is this sense of connectivity and people trying to stay connected. And so we have this concept called be open, which is keep your ears open, but stay connected. So you can stay connected here as well as your surroundings. So it's just it's a cool opportunity for us to tap into that and make sense of the future of sound and what we have.
Right. So when you have them open like that, and it's like because the audio is going through the bone and not through your actual ear, like if you are able to hear stuff outside, like your like ambient sound around in the universe, like does that affect the sound that you're hearing in your headphones?
No, it doesn't.
No.
It doesn't.
So you
No.
basically hear like both of them.
Yeah, it's a seamless experience. Exactly. And so when you're in those elements where you just want to go into privacy mode or just block out the outside world, you throw in Dome covers, you're wearing your favorite brand, and then you're also having this experience which enhances the actual performance of the headphones. So it amplifies your music or whatever you're listening to.
Gotcha. That's very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and then like comfort level. Cause
Right.
like, I mean, I wear these like when I do my episodes, and these are like a $30 pair. I don't even know the brand. Like I got off of Amazon because I needed like over ear ones because like the earbuds get annoying. But if that thing's like sitting on like your face, does that get annoying?
No, actually, it's a very nice fit. So conventional headphones, they tend to press against your ears, and that's why your ears can get sore because your ears are wide open. It's like it's a snug fit, and again, this is the prototype, so the ergonomics and all that stuff is going to be
Right.
different and ready for consumers. But the actual point of your ears being exposed, it's so comfortable. And then when you put the cover on the frame of the headphone, it doesn't even touch your ears. So it's just a really nice comfort fit and experience.
And then are they adjustable? Like I got a dome, I got a big head,
Yeah,
and I feel like when I get my pair, I'm gonna
right.
need to be able to like stretch them out as far
Of
as they go.
course. Yeah, so right here will be the the place where you can retract it and condense it. And so, yep, they'll be fully adjustable for all size heads.
Nice, nice.
Yep.
So you seem very entrepreneurial, I would say,
Thank you.
right? Yeah,
I-
you're welcome.
yes.
So
Yeah.
like, are these types of projects and like Dome and the barbershop and everything are like these things that you want to like continue to do? Because I feel like whenever I talk to entrepreneurs on the show, they all describe themselves as serial entrepreneurs. So they just have their hands in a lot of pots. And because you got two things going on right now, is this stuff that you want to do more of, like get involved in more opportunities like this and kind of help promote a business or get your name behind some stuff? Is that something you're interested in doing down the road?
Right. Well, I say because of my age, I would say it will happen in succession. Whereas the right cut was more so of a legacy piece. At the time, it was definitely an awesome opportunity to make an impact on campus at Rutgers and do something that I loved for the first 14 years of my life at the time. But that's more so of a legacy piece now. It's fully automated. People just love it, and it's something that we can keep going for a long time. This dome audio opportunity is one that can impact the world. And so all the attention, limiting the distractions and being just full focused on what we have and the mission at hand to impact the way the world experiences sound is all I'm focused on. So I want to bring this to the world. Obviously, we got a great opportunity, and this is why we're launching the campaigns for people to buy equity and pour into the company of Dome, as well as have an opportunity to own a piece of that hardware as well with the pre-order. But we just want to carry this mission throughout and then be in a position where one day we can get acquired.
Yeah.
And at that point, we'll evaluate where we're at that time, both collectively and individually, and then the next thing to go. So when you're a visionary, your mind never stops going. You just have to channel it into what the priority is at the time, and that's where I am right now. And so the next 5 years or so, we'll see what happens after that.
No, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, because it just shows, like you're entrepreneurial. Obviously, we already
Yeah.
established that, but also just that like you want it like this one thing to be like the best thing that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I, have come to know about you over this conversation.
Yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
so uh goals.
Yes.
So obviously, you just laid out the goals for Dome. Like are there any other goals that you're like looking to accomplish maybe on the what's the barbershop name again? I keep
Yeah.
forgetting
The
it.
right cut.
The Right Cut. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Right Cut. Are there other things that you're hoping to accomplish with any of these things that you have going on?
Yeah. You know what? So there was something I identified. Of course, when you identify problems and you create solutions, depending on how big the solutions are, could result in how massive, obviously, the reward is. So I identify some things in the beauty space that can really be addressed through a software. So there's some things down that avenue. And then in terms of the physical brick and mortar aspect of it, I created a business model that can take the identity of any campus that it's on. So from the impact of being accessible and creating this environment where everybody feels welcome, but also from a design standpoint, and it could be at Michigan University, it could be at USC, it could be at Miami, it can be on any campus in the country. So that's the model that I can expand there. But I love thinking global. I'm a sponge. I'm a student of my craft. So being an entrepreneur, who are the biggest entrepreneurs? So you look at what Steve Jobs did with Apple, you look at what Elon Musk is doing with Tesla, and you look at what Jeff Bezos is doing with Amazon. And so all three of those is what I model myself after, and then I'm just taking notes from every company out there, because there's nuggets that you could pull from any practice or any person that's successful, and that's what I want to just take and start building a framework of the trajectory of my life and what I represent in my enterprise. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I love that. The spotlighters, which is what I call the morning spotlight listeners, spotlighters. So if we have spotlighters out there that are like, "Hey, this dome audio thing sounds awesome, and I
Yeah,
want to get involved."
yeah,
I know you mentioned the link. Is there
yeah,
like a minimum buy-in? Is there, and
yeah.
again, this has at the time of this episode posting, this will have launched yesterday,
Right,
so they will know what to do like as they're listening.
right.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So You can find the details and information. We're solidifying those, but so there'll be a $250 minimum buy-in for shares. But you can find updates at domeaudioinc.com. If you want to reach me in particular, or specifically, you can reach me at tim@domeaudioinc.com. And then if you want to reach out through DM or Instagram, my name on there is timwright81. So you could find me at those, various places, and you can get all the information you need through there.
Awesome. And like I say all the time, we're going to go over these links again. So hopefully you remember all of them again before we round out the episode. So, all right. So the Spotlighters have been listening to Tim Wright and Mike Hamm talk for 40 minutes, 45 minutes almost, about that. So we do in a closing segment called Under the Spotlight. So we've talked about a lot of different things, your career, Dome Audio, everything. Yep. So what would be one thing that you want the Spotlighters to walk away from this episode with? So you're under the spotlight.
I would want the Spotlighters to walk away with the understanding of who Tim Wright is, what his mission is, what his purpose is, and I could define those. I'm a God-fearing man, number one. I'm a family man, and I just want good for the world and the community. And what gets poured into me, I want to pour it right back out. So I take no nonsense, and I just want great things for the world. With that said, I have a mission and an opportunity through the avenue of business and disruptive entrepreneurship to bring Dome Audio and some of the other things we have in the pipeline to the world, which will make an impact positively. And it will be something that resources may come out of, and we can impact as many communities as possible. And last but not least, I just want to, to encourage folks that may be on an entrepreneurial journey, knowing that you have to be persistent. One of the game-changing movies for me that I watched was The Founder, and that's the story of Ray Kroc and McDonald's. And I learned a lot from that, understanding what he went through as a salesman, getting a door slammed on him, and just looking up and being relentless and persistent, and landing on an opportunity where, two guys were running an operation that he saw a bigger vision for. And although they let him in just a little bit with some constraints, he could stay persistent, and he wanted to take that vision and make it bigger than what it is. So McDonald's is, I don't care if you're on a diet or not, growing up, we all love McDonald's. We know what that brand is, one of the biggest brands in the world. And I just say the story of the man behind that and his mission is the same type of mission and example of my story, coming through the back door, leaving out the front. And that's just, words of encouragement and just pouring into all the listeners today.
Yeah, love that. I mean, I also love McDonald's now, not even when I was just a kid.
I ain't worried about it.
Yeah, I still need to try the new crispy chicken sandwich, but I was like a big buttermilk tender guy. Love those.
Right.
Back when I would recruit, it was a McDonald's at like every rest stop on the New York State Thruway. And I would, not at every one I would stop, but one, I'd get like a coffee or a Coke, which, I mean, again, this is why I was so fat back then. Coffee and a Coke and like 3 or 4 chicken snack wraps and just go, just drive for hours and just on McDonald's. So yeah.
Love McDonald's, man. Got to.
Shout out McDonald's. Maybe they'll sponsor the show. Who knows? Yeah, right. All right, so let's hit the links again. So if they need more Dome Audio, if they want to learn more, if they want more Tim, what are the links?
Okay, here we go. So if you want to find out more about Dome Audio, www.domeaudioinc.com. If you want to reach out to me for any opportunities, whether that's partnership, licensing, whether that's investing, you can reach out to me at tim@domeaudioinc.com. And if you want to DM me, if that's more convenient, you can find me on Instagram at timwright81. So those are the 3 or several ways you can reach me and learn more about what we're doing. And, we're very excited to have you on board, whether you're thinking about it or you're coming on now. Come on, let's make it happen.
Awesome. Love it. And I will make sure, like I said earlier, I'll put all those links and the handles in the show notes. So if you do want to reach out and get connected with Tim, please do so. If you want to obviously get involved with the crowdfunding, I guess, is that a crowdfunding?
Yep.
We would call it crowdfunding.
Equity crowdfunding, yes.
Equity crowdfunding. Please do that, because that will have been live once we launch this episode on Thursday, May 20th.
Yes.
I will also put all my links in the show notes. So if for some reason you want to go through me to get to Tim, just do that. So the morningspotlight@gmail.com and the morningspotlight.com are the two best places to go to get me.
Yes.
So Tim, thank you so much for coming on with us today. This was great. And good luck with the launch.
No, I really appreciate it, Mike. It was cool kicking it with you, man. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, I appreciate it. And Spotlighters, thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.